Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt again with the American Orthodontic Society, and I want to talk about a touchy item here that is present or used to be quite a bit, where I went to 3 different lectures on there was a team of guys that just 2 of them actually were showing case after case where orthodontics had started the TMJ problem, or at least that's what they thought it was, and so they would blame it on orthodontics. And they just said orthodontics causes the temperalmandibular joint problem. And I sat through the first one and I realized that this was not what was wrong. And so I went back and heard the guy another time, and it was the same thing. And I went up and told him what actually was happening that caused the TMJ problem. And then he writes it down in a book, and I write an article, and the American Orthodontic Society published it in their monthly magazine or their quarterly. And it was true. I mean, what was causing it was not orthodontics, but was the way that the cases were being retained. And I just wanted to bring this point out so you'll understand how this can be stopped. And let's go to had this young man who had this terrific deep bite. I mean, these upper anterior teeth came down way on this, and these are the intruding wires. I'm showing you some of the mechanics of the case, and we brought those up and pushed these down, pushed these up, and we level this all out like this. Now, I put blocks under his teeth, and that forced these teeth to, in other words, as you raise these did not come down because of the occlusal muscles pulling the teeth together, kept this so as you didn't open the bite dentally as you went. You kept it where it was. So I'm going to kind of stress that fact. That's what the problem comes out to be. Now here we have taken this guy and we level this out. In other words, we push these teeth up, push these teeth down, and we have all the teeth. Like if he opened his mouth now and put his upper centrals on his lower centrals, there'd be a gap, something like that, in the back of the mouth. And that's what you see. If you are interested in studying this case, just click on, we have it attached here. It will go back and show you that again. Now let me see. Now what happens to prevent this from happening? We put a bite plate on the case right in here, so that when he bites together, these lower anterior teeth hit this bite plate at a certain height here, enough to give you a little your overjet and overbite. So when you bite your teeth together out here, your back teeth don't hit in the back. In other words, when I come out here and bite down, I put my front teeth together, nothing touches in here at all. It's here and here. And that's where the secret comes in. Now, the people will take the bite, the deep bite cases, and open them up, but they're going to always try to close back unless you really put blocks under there and keep the teeth from erupting toward one another. When you level a deep bite, you put blocks back here, and that'll hold this down, and it won't be quite as bad, but they're going to still try to come around. Now, I don't have a retainer like this was generally used, but you can look at these two cases. This has the teeth are down where you don't even see this part right here. And this tooth was coming right down in the case. So we level this bite and we move these. This is a kind of a class 2 division 2 type. You see how this tooth is angled this way, more or less, and here it come along and kind of in that fashion. But the class 1 relationship we kept back here, going back in the mouth. Now we get down to the end of the case, and I'm going to show you. Now, when we put a retainer in somebody's mouth, the lower anterior teeth, when he came in, these teeth were back here, and they went up and touched somewhere up in here. They had this class 2 division 2 anterior, but it's class 1 back in the back part of the mouth, and they touched up there. Now, if you come in and you finish this case out, and they built a retainer for it. Now, the retainer, if I did that and just leave this bite plate off and made a retainer where the upper, I'm going to change this just a little bit and make a white sheet here, you'd have your upper tooth coming in something like this. And maybe the root going up in here. And your lower teeth would be coming up underneath here. Something like that. And now you finish it, and the lower tooth is hitting right here, and it's working fine. But if the person doesn't wear this retainer, and their retainer comes back and comes back like this, this is the acrylic and the retainer, there's nothing, they take it out, and then they would put a bar, of course, on all the retainers, we do that, and we put 3 to 3 retainer on this lower, I mean, it goes around like this, and in other words, your bottom teeth could not go back, and your upper teeth could not go forward. So the bite deepened anyway. It didn't matter. You didn't put a bite plate on it, and it would deepen. Now, as it goes up, as the bite deepens back again on this inclined plane, as it deepens, then it puts pressure on the jaw, pushing. This would make these teeth sore, and that'll push the mandible back, and you have the condyle coming into fossa right in here, and your retrodiscal tissues, and it'll shove the condyle into the tissue up here, and you come down with a TMJ problem, and you see this person who didn't hurt at all, but after orthodontics, and I've had patients do that, they would start giving trouble back here, and the person that did the orthodontics a lot of times had no idea why they did that, but it was shoving the lower jaw back, and the condyle was coming into this soft tissue, the retrodiscal tissue we've talked about so much. Now, these teeth couldn't back up and these teeth couldn't go forward, but the case could deepen. And as it deepened, the teeth had to go back, and as they did, they shoved the jaw back, and they had trouble with the TMJ problem. And so they just advertised that orthodontics was causing the TMJ problem. And I showed the guy, the second time I went back, I went up and showed him. And so the third time I went to hear him talk, he put this down in a book. And when I wrote a letter or an article for the American Orthodontic Journal, and they published it, I had to quote him in there, but I was the one that showed him what was actually causing that is they didn't put any bite plate on there to stop this from going back. If they had done that, then this case would have settled over a period of years, and this probably would not happen in there. Thank you for watching, and I hope you just remember this, that you need, when you get a deep bite case and you intrude the lower and you intrude the upper, you need to put something on the retainer that catches those teeth, and we'll show you those bite plates that you have on there. And I'm going to erase that. And this is where we made a retainer out of that and added this and let the person bite together, and his lower anterior teeth makes this impression in here. Have the person, don't have them kick their head back or forward, just close too, as their head, with their head in a normal relationship. And it'll make a track right in here, and they wear that. If they stay with it, the bite cannot deepen. So thanks for watching again, and I'm going to move on here. And here is the young man that we finished. Thank you again.